Unify is a publicly traded software company that has been in business for over 30 years. We are probably best known for being the first to deliver a relational database to the Unix environment about 30 years ago now. Now, since then, we've delivered software development products that run across different databases and platforms that are geared to building and modernizing business applications for the business application developer who places a premium on productivity over low-level coding. Today, our business has expanded beyond database and development products into migration solutions as well as e-discovery and email archiving. For today's webinar, we do encourage questions, so if you have one, please use the Q&A button on your WebEx toolbar. This is the button that is marked with a question mark. WebEx also has a chat button, but it makes it much easier for both Helmut and I to monitor just one panel for questions and make sure that we address all of them. So with that, today's presenter on Team Developer is Helmut Reimann. Helmut has been working with Team Developer for, gosh, I'm thinking over 18 years now. Is that right, Helmut?
That's right, yep.
Right. I believe 10 of those were with Gooped and now Unify. And previous to our organization, Helmut worked for a company where you were creating user interfaces for GPS systems using Team Developer, I believe.
Right.
Helmut is now the manager of sales engineering and brings a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience to this presentation. And it's a great opportunity and a real privilege to have someone with his background and experience with Team Developer presenting today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over to Helmut, who is joining us from our Germany office today.
Many thanks, Paul. So welcome from my side to our first public Team Developer 6 webinar. Today I want to give you an overview about the new tree control inside Team Developer 6. First of all, I want to create a whole bunch of presentations and slides and so on for a whole training session, but we are not able to do any exercises and so on. So I split it a little bit down and want to give you only an overview about the new Team Developer 6 tree control. And I want to give you some code snippets. I want to run a small demo for the .NET compiler and for the Win32 compiler. So what I want to talk about is I want to give you some overview about the tree control features, the tree control API functions, the supported messages for the tree control, and of course I want to show you some samples. I want to run a demo, and of course we have enough time to run a Q&A session. Let's start talking about the tree control. We have also a ported compilers. That means we can run the tree control in Win32 compiler. We can run Win control inside the .NET compiler. We have to talk about attribute inspector. I want to talk about a few API functions. At least we have 32 API functions for this tree control to make it more flexible. But we have only 1 hour. That means I have to talk only about some API functions which are very, very important. We have to talk about messages. We have a built-in keyword navigation, and I want to show you some code samples like filling a tree based on a database table or getting back values from the tree control. And I want to run, of course, I want to talk about I want to run a demo. Let's have first a look at tree control itself. I have a few code samples and code snippets from the tree control from several applications I run. One, the left side you can see I filled the tree control with some information out of the file system. The second one is opening a tree control from manipulating by hand. That means I added some check boxes and I checked these boxes. The second one, or the third one, is filled by a database table. The third one too. And of course you can run this tree control inside for example, Outlook containers. Supported compiler, you can see 3 screenshots on the bottom. The first one is for the Win32 compiler, and the second and the third one is for the .NET compiler. The screenshots are shown for the .NET WPF desktop and WPF browser application. So you don't have to change your source code if you want to compile to .NET. You have only to change the target compiler version inside your compiling targets inside the team developed application. Controls attribute inspector means you can reach the tree control inside the control panel, so you can drag and drop a tree control on your dialog or forms, or you can define a special class based on a tree control, and you can add some informations like functions, like presetted informations, presetted attributes inside your classes, or you can drag and drop it on your dialog, and you can use it like a push button, like a text box, or whatever you want. In Attribute Inspector, we have some useful attributes like the normal image, selected image, show root, and so on. On the next slide, I want to talk about a little bit about in detail. The last, let's say, 6 attributes are very important for the tree control. This is a normal image. This is shown after startup of the tree control. A selected image, that means if you select an item inside the tree control, you will have a special new image or the same image. You can decide if you want to show the root, the object title, and you can check, set off the checkboxes for each item by default. And you can do a track select. That means you can show selected items in different colors, like in blue, or if you move your mouse on an item, you select this item and you move your mouse away, you will have this again selected in a different color. And you can check if your tree is expanded by default, if you fill your tree, or for example, with a SQL statement. Here's an overview about the new tree control API overview. The bold items, I want to go a little bit into details with the bold items. And this shows you how to use this APIs inside your application. And if you know maybe 3 or 4 of these APIs calls, then you are able to use every and each of them because they have the same structure. They can use it in the same way. So first back, I want to give you an overview about style tree set item data, the get item data, to manage tooltips, to set images and insert items, and of course a set item text. And I want to talk about item font enhancement and text color. On the next slide, we have some information and APIs like is an item has a checkbox, or is this item is checked, and so on. Or if you want to get the item parent, or if you want to expand something. I want to talk about a little bit in detail about style tree get item text from this slide. And the third one, I want to talk about style tree collapse item and tree expand item, because they are very useful if you want to hide, for example, parts of the tree. And of course, you have some APIs to get the item count, how many items are inside a tree section, or if you want to delete an item or you want to edit an item. But the structure is every time the same. It starts with some parameter and return values for the API. In every call, you can find the handle of the tree control item, or better, tree control object. The second one is very important if you want to deal with a special item inside the tree. It's a numeric unique value. So you can't manipulate this value because it is set up by the runtime, but you can, sometimes you need this item to find out which data is set, which text is set, and where is my item inside the tree. So we have built in several API calls to get this item back and this number back to deal with the next API call. So we have a few other parameters in the list, sometimes an index, a title, a tip, whatever you will see later on with some samples. First of all, if you want to insert a tree item, then you have to call tree insert item. The first parameter is the name of the tree or the handle of the tree. The second one is the handle of the tree item, where you want to insert this new item inside the tree. Then the NNX means maybe you want to have it at the first position, maybe you want to have it at the end of the tree. The title and the text to display, and you get back the handle of the new inserted item, the item ID. The sample is pretty simple. For example, the first one, the new handle tree insert item means we insert something in tree 1, and the position is both 0 and the index is 0. That means we want to have a top-level node. If we have this node, for example, we created a node with the item USA, like in the first screenshot, then you can use the result, the new handle, to insert a new item inside the tree for USA. For example, set an item ID tree insert item tree 1, the new handle 100. Later on, I want to try to explain the end position, and in this case, we insert a new item called Utah. The 100 maybe is a number which is higher than the inserted item ID or the result of the item count. So for the hint, if you pass tree item handle as 0, the tree item is added as the top level child of the tree control. If NNX is greater than or equal the number of the child items, the new item is appended. So with these settings, you can create new nodes, you can create new parts of trees inside your application by using the new handle or a special item count. And for this we have, again, APIs, which helps you to find the right value to insert or add a new item tree. Very, very important is tree set item data, because this is really a value which could be set, which is not shown inside the tree. If you add an item, for example, for a special customer, the customer name is HR whatever, then everyone can manipulate or can change the text. So if you want to collect or select some information from a special item in the tree, then it makes sense to have a special item data, which is not shown in the tree, but maybe this is a unique key from a result set from our customer list or your customer list. So you can set this item data by calling tree set item data. Then you need again the tree handle, the item handle, and then the numeric unique value. And this value can be used as a result or for a where clause where you can send or where you get some information back from the database. So this is really a unique key, and you can use this unique key inside SQL statement if you want to fill a table or if you want to need additional information from this item. Get item data gives you back the information from a special non-visible information, like n value, tree get item data from the tree and a marked item. You can see the hint. I have a message inside on the bottom on some items selected, and further all, I get back the item ID, the item handle, tree get selection item of a special item which I have selected. Based on this, I get back the unique data from this item, not the text of the item, because everyone can change or someone can change the text. It's not really unique inside the tree, but the item ID, the data, is every time unique, and you can find it again. Tree set item tooltip. It's very useful to set some useful tooltips for each item. So again, tree set item tooltip is based on the tree handle and the handle of the item ID of the item inside the tree, and you can pass as tip the text into this tooltip. So you can create a nice tooltip like Max Mustermann and in brackets I have filled in the unique number, or maybe it's a customer number of Max Mustermann, and based on this I can look into my database for additional information. So as tooltip again is a string, and you should use tooltips very often because you can give some very useful tips and information to any of these items. So I'll reset images. It is possible to have basic images for selected and for non-selected items, but you can change images for every item. That means you can change some nice images for, in this first sample, for XML, XLS, text, and PDF, and CSV sections, and then you can change every time special items. If you select a special item, you can change it, and you can do it during runtime. So if you fill your tree control, you can change the standard icons. And there was a first question from Victor. Yes, you can use only BMP and ICO format. So at the first at all, you can run this this call 2 times for the selected image. That means if it's true, it places a selected image. If this is false, it replaces a normal image from the property, from the attribute inspector. So you can do this for every and for each item inside the tree control. The same, such reset item text color, the same structure. Again, you need the handle of the tree control, you need the handle of the item, and then you can change the color based on the team developer color name constant values. So you, in this case, you can change the colors for every entry inside the tree control, and you can again do it during filling your tree control. And the same structure is not it's not shown in this presentation, but you can use it, for example, to hide and show checkboxes and hide and check these checkboxes or uncheck these checkboxes. So you have an API, or you can use it by using different colors. The same for the font. For each item, you can change the font. You can set up a font enhancement bold, font enhancement underline. That means you can hide some entries inside your tree control. You can change colors. You can change the icons in front of these items and so on. So sometimes these trees could be very, very flexible and very complex. If you see, for example, different documents for a customer with different icons in front, and it's checked because they are readable in the preview mode or whatever. So this case is very, very flexible, and you can use it again with API. You don't have to set it in the properties. Set item text means you can change your item text during runtime. So, for example, if something is sold out, you can change the text from the denim black, in this case from the Wiki Jeans, into denim black sold out, and again change the text color, underline it, or give some more information in the tooltip. Search expand item is very useful if you create a new node and you want to expand this node after filling this new subtree. So then you need the handle of the top level item. That means in this case from the entry jeans. So if you have this handle, then you can expand this handle by using the column, the call search expand item tree1 and item HD. And you can use the attribute inspector. The attribute inspector has a property, so you can type in you want to have it expanded by default. But if you create subtrees, maybe it's useful not to open every tree during startup of your dialog of your form. tree collapse item is vice versa. That means you have an open item and you want to collapse this again to save space, because your space is limited in your dialogues and your tree is very, very big, and you want to show a lot of things inside the tree. Then maybe it makes sense to go step by step by using the tree collapse item or by using the arrow keys on your keyboard. As label means you get back the item text. So tree get item text. If you need the text, then you can use tree get item text, and based on the tree control handle and the handle of the item, you will get the right text back in, for example, a text box or in a variable, and you can use them for further use. For example, if this is a unique, you can go into the database and collect some information from California inside the database. But again, if someone is able and is allowed to change the text inside the items, then it doesn't work. So then the best way is to use this data item to add some non-visible data to this text. Supported messages. We have a lot of supported messages for the tree control. Most of them is standard messages like drag and drop and click and context menu and so on. But two of them are very important for usage inside the tree control. And this is, first one is some item selected, and the second one is some validate, because validate has some additional features for the tree control. And item collapsed and item expanded is nice. I'm pretty sure that someone has can use it, but I don't found any sample at this moment, because every time I do something with my mouse. But very important is to get an item if the item is selected. First start with some validate. The some validate message is sent during the editing of the tree item at runtime. Some validate is sent when the edit control loses focus, and in addition to the standard handling of this message, the W-param argument is set to the handle of the tree item being edited. So we have the handle inside the W-param argument. The application may retrieve this edit value by referencing the value of the tree control. So from outside you can connect and you can check the sum validate for the tree control with some additional features. But much more important is the message some item selected. This can be used to get that information of a tree item. First of all, we tried to get a label from or getting text from a tree control. And in the first snipsel you can see I have a tree 1, and I use the message action on some item selected. The first statement gives me the handle of this item which is selected. So the first parameter is a tree 1. That means this is my name of my tree control. And if I click on an item inside the tree, I will get back the item ID of this tree item. In this case, I write it into a text box. It's a number. Based on this number, I can get with tree get item text the text of this item back into a special data field or special variable, a string variable. In the second snapshot, you can see that I have an item selected again, and I click on a special item, and again I try to get back, or I get back the item ID of the item which I have selected inside my tree control, and tree get item data gives me back the non-visible data of this item. In this case, it's a special value called n value, and I can use this n value in a where clause, and I can fill, for example, fill table with this n value. So in this case, I use this n value to have some where clause, or have some sub-selects inside the tree control, or inside a table window based on the tree control. Keyboard navigation. You can use the keyboard to navigate through your tree control. Up arrow navigates up inside the tree, down, okay. Right arrow expands the next level of an expanded child item, and left arrow collapses selected item if the child item is expanded. So you can use arrow keys on your keyboard to manage all the selectings and so on inside your navigation, inside your tree control. So now the first code sample. Fill a tree control out of a result set. So let's start with the beginning. This is a SQL statement to connect to a database. This is our island database. And in this case, I select some information like the company ID, company name, address, and zip, and so on, because I want to have a useful tooltip. And I set a variable and count to 0. And first of all, I create a new node with set and node equals tree insert item for the tree 1, 0, 0, customers. So I create a new node, customers, in my empty tree control. I do a connect to my database, I do a prepare and execute, and now I start with my loop. Call SQL fetch next to find out if I run into my fetch and or f, then I have to break my loop. And if not, I can start creating my useful tooltip. In this case, my tooltip is set from company name. Then I do a solid number to string x to get the company ID into brackets. Then I use as address, as city, as state, and as zip. So now I have my tooltip finished, and I can start inserting a new item. And I do a set an item ID is equals tree insert item tree 1 for the node, so the top level, and then count in this case is 0 because there's no entry inside this subtree because it's new, and I fill in the name as company name to be displayed inside the tree control. Then I add the data value to the tree item. So tree set item data tree 1 to the n item ID for the new inserted tree item, because it's the result value of the tree insert item. And I use the n company ID because it's unique in the database. Then I set the tooltip to the tree item. So tree set item tooltip, tree 1, and item ID as tooltip. And at least I switch off all checkbox because I don't want to show the checkboxes. The last statement, set and count, is to get the items back, the number of items back from the new inserted tree. That means, in this case, I get back the node 1. That means I get maybe 2 or 3 or 5 or 6, the next number of trees items back, because I want to have them in again inside the end count value of the next tree insert item. If I do 0, I want to have it as a top level. Get back values after selecting a tree item. So first of all, I click on a special tree item, and the message some item selected is fired. Based on this message, I get back the item ID for the cell get item selected item of the tree 1. Based on this item ID, I can get back the text with cell tree get item text, or I can get back the number. That means the data, cell tree get item data of this item ID. So you can see I click on the Evelyn clothing. First of all, I can see the tooltip, and the selected item ID of this item and selected item is something with 981555152. The selected text based on the item ID is everything clothing, and the data is 109. So this is very useful for SQL statements if I want to get more information for this customer with the number 109. So now I want to start with a small demo. I have to share my application, just a second. So now you can see Team Developer 6, and I built up a small application. This application tests all the nice API features and API functions. And first of all, I want to show the build settings. And you know, in Team Developer 6, you have the possibility to choose between Win32 applications and .NET applications. I want to start now with the WPF desktop application. I do an apply, and now I can compile to intermediate language application. It takes a few seconds, and my application will start, hopefully. And I'm connecting to a SQL base 11.6. So this did something wrong. Sorry. I have to check my images first. Let's do this first. I compile to my application. Now I can connect to the database, and now my tree is filled. And you can see this item has a selected item ID of something with 6.5 and so on, and is set by the environment of Team Developer. And you can use the selected text because maybe the selected text is really unique, or you can use the data. In this side is the item data of this item node. That means the Lee Carazao was named, has a number, the employee number, maybe 119159, and this is the data to get more information for this selected text and for this selected item. I can get the tooltip of this guy, and I can get the data. So the data is very useful to handle with this. I can change the picture of the tree. In this case, this is a non-selected picture. I can check and change the color. I can get some show checkboxes. I can set them checked. Again, show checkboxes, and so on. I can enable, disable items. I have an item count. In this case, in my subtree are 9 items inside. I can get the next item, the previous item, the first item, the parent item of my tree control. I can set tooltips and so on. So I can use edit item to edit the text inside the item, or I can set it by using database results to have, for example, new information for this tree item, for the tree node, and I can use API calls to change it. I don't have to do it by hand if you want. So now I want to stop again my application, and now next try, hopefully it's now set OK. Takes a second to start my application. Here we go. This is the .NET application, and I can load my customer information inside my tree control. I have the same features inside my my tree. I have my tooltips, and now this application is running native on .NET, and you will see the item ID is now a little bit different, and because the handling of the IDs, of the handles of the items is different between Win32 compilers and the .NET compiler. But you can use the same change of pictures, you can change again colors and so on. So this application is now running as a desktop application. I stop it, and I can run it inside the browser. They're changing the build settings. I'm not sure if we can show it inside our WebEx, but you can again see that I compiled to intermediate language application. I do an assembling, hopefully I can start now my browser, and my application starts inside the browser. I don't see if you can see it. Here we started. Xbug is now started inside my Windows, in my Internet Explorer. And this is my application running now inside